Welcome back to CryptosRUs. I'm George. We're all George. So let's talk about why today's inflation number make a strong case for Bitcoin. That's right. And a rare buy signal just flashed for Bitcoin. Yeah, that's right. So let's talk about everything that's going on in the world of Bitcoin and crypto. We did get PCE reading, core headline inflation, showing that inflation is definitely going up, okay? And it's going up more than expected, hotter than expected. So just a tad more. So, I mean, we kind of expected this already. CPI already came out showing that we were going up. So it was anticipated that PCE would also show that we're going up. Right, but it just came up a little bit more than expected. So that's the thing. So maybe Wall Street won't freak out over this. Oh, someone said, oh, there's an earthquake in Thailand. I'm sorry to hear that. I don't know if that had to do with Bitcoin, though. Maybe, but I'm sorry to hear that. But yeah, I was going to say, you know, we kind of expected this to happen. Maybe Wall Street won't be panicked and won't panic dump today. We are starting on the red, but it's not that bad. Actually, I thought it would be worse, but it's not that bad. So maybe we flip around. Kind of like yesterday. Yesterday, we started on the red, and then everything started coming back up during the day. We may have one of those days. We'll see. People are still talking about the tariffs. A lot of news, including automakers. Automakers are struggling. Yesterday, Tesla had a pretty good day because Wall Street is betting that Tesla's going to have the best time, because they do have gigafactories in the US. But still, we don't know. We don't know how it's going to be. Like Ferrari actually yesterday said that they're going to increase every Ferrari price by 10%. Not by 25%, by 10%. I don't know how others are going to do. So I don't know if it's like everyone's going to just raise their price by 10%. But I do think used cars will get more valuable. But, you know, I heard like VW, Audi, Porsche, you know, they're all the same brand, but they're struggling. VW has no manufacturing at all in the US, so all of their products are going to get very, very expensive, very, very fast. All right, outside of that, today we also have a huge, because it's the last Friday of the month. Man, this month flew by. We're almost in April now. This month flew by. But we have a big options and futures expiration today. Usually, when we do, we have some volatility, okay? Look at this headline. Will Bitcoin soar above $90,000? Who knows? Maybe. Right now, we're at 85, under 86. Seems like we have to make a big move. Maybe. I see people say in the live chat that we filled a gap. Another gap is filled. Maybe after the options expirations, and if the U.S. market turns around, we'll be right back up to 87, 88, and then 90,000 is not too far off. And plus, recently, I showed this. One of the most reliable buy indicators or buy signals for Bitcoin has flashed. Now, this doesn't mean it's immediate, okay? It takes months. This is the hash ribbon signal, and I showed this before. The prior times, it doesn't happen very often. Last time it happened, it was back around July of 2024, and the previous time was July of 2023. When it flashed by, we waited like a couple of months, and then boom, Bitcoin went up. Same thing. In the low point of 2022, when Bitcoin was below 20,000 and it was like 15,000, it also flashed by. The last 3 times it flashed by, it wasn't immediate, but soon afterwards, Bitcoin went on a huge run, and it just flashed by now. So it doesn't mean that it's going to like go on a huge run tomorrow, but this all correlates. If we had to wait a few months, it all correlates to roughly around May or June, when we have another FOMC meeting. We may get another Fed cut. We may get quantitative easing when the liquidity injection starts. It all lines up perfectly, but it also lines up with the fact that we may have found that local bottom like the previous times, and the selling has stopped, and now we're building up from that base. But, you know, a lot of people, consumers and businesses, CFOs specifically, are still expecting that there will be a recession in the US. A lot of people think that a recession can't be avoided at this time. And even market surveys, they're all saying recession, 50%, 50%, or closing in at 50% chance of a recession. But you know, recession, kind of like a death cross on a chart, sometimes means that things are about to come back up, because that's when quantitative easing happens. That's when liquidity injection happens. That's when rates start getting cut. And here's something else too. This is showing that the inflow right now in total, not just for Bitcoin, for all of crypto, is at a 2-year low, sitting at 1.8 billion, and there's about 1.8 billion leaving. So we're kind of at a standstill. This is a 2-year low. So this is also showing that we are at kind of like the calm before the storm, and also we are reversing, because for many, many months, we have been coming down. Obviously, the net outflow was greater than net inflow, but we are going to turn around. So this is also pretty positive. And like I said, people that understand, people that know about Bitcoin will continue to load up. In fact, there's 48 new wallets that hold over 100 Bitcoins. And this is just recent, and they continue to load up. You got new millionaires, centimillionaires, billionaires that are coming in all the time, loading up. Remember, there's not enough Bitcoin to go around for every millionaire on the planet. That's how scarce Bitcoin is. There's more millionaires on the planet than there are Bitcoin. Take a second to think about that. Not every millionaire on the planet can afford to buy, not afford, well, yeah, not every millionaire on the planet can afford to buy one, because if they try, the price will go up astronomically. All right, last few things. Bitcoin obviously has been trending upwards, so it's above the 200 MA again, which is very positive. Whenever you go back above, that's always a good thing, and you know, that's another bullish indicator. So that's all short term. You guys know I mostly cover and care about long term. Short term, stuff like this happens all the time, right? Short term distractions, they happen all the time. But when in doubt, zoom out and realize that, yeah, we keep trending upwards, right? But we do have these times where it gets scary. We do go down. There are a lot of reasons why. But Bitcoin always figures out a way and keeps on going. That's just the bottom line. So of course, over the years, there are periods that show that Bitcoin is very oversold or very overbought. Hash ribbons relate to the miners and whether or not, you know, it's profitable for them to mine Bitcoin. And usually when it gets to a point where it becomes a capitulation point where, you know, things are turning around, it becomes profitable again, and there's no point of them selling, and they are just mining, accumulating, and even buying, that's when this flashes by. And you don't see that happen very often. You only see this happen when you have major corrections, like a 30%, 40% correction that come out of nowhere in a very short time frame. Normally you see it in a major crash, like during crypto winter. You normally don't see it during, you know, normal times. So the last time this flashed was back in June, July timeframe of last year. So it's almost been a full year. And the prior time it flashed was the prior June, July in 2023. So again, you don't see this happen very often. But look at what happened afterwards when it did flash. In 2023, after it flashed, a few months later, that's when Bitcoin started shooting up from 20,000 all the way up to 70-something thousand. And in July, last time it flashed, guess what? A few months later, that's when we went to 109,000. So it just flashed now. So, like I've been saying, we may have to wait a couple more months till that quantitative easing starts. But that's probably, and it correlates to what happened before, that's when we probably start skyrocketing once again and we make that new high. It all correlates. It all makes sense. This is why you stay in the game. You don't leave. You don't panic sell. It never really leads to good things. Holding and DCAing, that's the right strategy.